Welcome into the Week 2 edition of AFL Advance. We are almost done with the Week 1 games at the time that we are recording this. We still have 3 games to go, but now let's take a look at what's coming up in Week 2's action. We have Stokes, Magik, RVD on here tonight with me. I am Josh, obviously, and we're going to start off with the Thursday night game in Week 2, and it involves Stokes' Texans coming off of a big victory over Donald's Jaguars. They're on the road again against SJR's Bengals Magik. The Bengals had a disappointing loss Week 1 to the Ravens. Do they come back this week and get to 1-1, or are they going to fall to 0-2 to Stokes' Texans?
Hey man, Stokes put up a lot of points. I'm going to pick Stokes.
Magik picks Stokes. RVD, how do you feel about this game?
Well, Stokes told us early on that he wasn't good at this game, but then he pulled a Care Bear and ripped off the clothes and said, "I fooled you!" and he played so much better. I'm going to have to go with Stokes.
2 votes for Stokes. Speaking of the NFC North, the guy that beat SJR last week, Field of Dreams and the Baltimore Ravens take on his roommate, Care Bear Kreppel. 2 1-1 teams, both playing from the same house. Stokes, how do you see this game?
I'm gonna go with Frank, just because he's more fun at times.
You're going to go with Frank. I'm going to go with Care Bear Kreppel. I like some of the moves he's made. He's really prioritized the offensive and defensive lines. I'm interested to see if that's finally a strategy that'll pay off in Madden. I think he's got a little bit of swagger about him. He jokes around a lot, but I think he's confident. I think he's going to get a big road victory over his roommate. Nino's Buffalo Bills have yet to play Week 1 at the time that we record this. Travel to Carolina to take on Rod's Carolina Panthers. The Panthers fell last week to Danny's San Francisco 49ers, so they look to avoid the 0-2 start. RVD, do they avoid the 0-2 start by beating Nino's Bills, or are they going to fall to 0-2?
I don't see him beating Nino, so I'm going to take Nino on this. So I'm going to go 0-2.
What about you, Magik? You going to give Rodney love, or are you going to think that Nino's going to knock him to 0-2?
Oh, I never give the Rod love. I'm going to pick the Bills.
Well done. Well done. All right, Magik, speaking of you, your Colts off of a huge upset victory over Joker's Rams last week that shocked the landscape of AFL. Your first game out of the box and you blow out Joker's Rams. You go home this week and you take on Reese's Arizona Cardinals. Reese had a big win himself last week, defeating the Detroit Lions and KK. RVD, you know KK's a good player, even though his roster's lacking, so that's an impressive win for Reese. Does he get to 2-0 this week, or does our guy Magik get to 2-0?
I think he gets to 2-0. He had a really good game against KK, and I think that defense is going to prove true, and he'll get to 2-0 there.
All right, Stokes. Well, you might be the biggest Reese believer on this podcast. You picked him to win the division on the season preview show. Are you going to stick with that and pick him to go to 2-0, or are you going to believe in the magic and go with the Colts?
Man, this is a tough one because the way Jick played in that Week 1 game, that was pretty incredible. But I'm gonna go with Reese in this one, unfortunately. Well, unfortunately, I guess.
Hey, we all picked against Magik last week. He proved us wrong. Maybe he'll do it again. Donald's Jacksonville Jaguars lick their wounds after an embarrassing Week 1 loss to Stokes' Texans, and it doesn't get any easier this week as they welcome MVP's Titans to town. Now, MVP hasn't played at the time that we have recorded this, but guys, I see very little reason to pick against MVP in this game. Saw nothing from Donald Week 1 that would make me think he's ready to knock off another Super Bowl contender. I'm taking MVP to win this game. Stokes, you had a first-hand view of what Donald was about last week. How do you see this one playing out?
It's gonna get ugly. MVP is gonna score a lot of points on him. It's gonna get ugly.
Well, we talked about a team that had a rough Week 1. Let's talk about a team that surprised everybody. Shams Kansas City Chiefs. We all picked against them Week 1, and they went to New England and knocked off Hitman's Patriots. And that's a team that Stokes predicted to win the Super Bowl season number 1. They return home to Arrowhead this week to take on the Stokes tree, Eric Morrison. So, Stokes, you picked the last game, but I feel like since the Stokes tree is involved, I want to hear your opinion on this game. Does Sham get to 2-0, or does Emo go to Arrowhead and get a win after losing his game last week to Bailey?
Emo is going to make it happen. He is going to win this game. He's going to be motivated, and he's going to win. Mark my words.
I'm going to disagree with you on that one. I think Sham's got some good things going on defense. He's got some better strategies on defense. I like the way he's playing offense. He's being more protective of the ball. Pat Mahomes did get hurt last week, so it is going to be Alex Smith. I think Sham gets to 2-0, and the Stokes tree falls to 0-2. The team that Sham beat last week, the New England Patriots and Hitman, need to bounce back this week, but the task is not going to be easy. They go to New Orleans to take on Justin Saints. The Saints were down big last week to Mustangs Vikings, but they came back and got a big road victory, and now they welcome the Patriots to the Superdome. RVD, can the Saints get to 2-0, or do you think Hitman's going to even the score and make both these teams 1-1?
Oh, goodness. I think we very well could see another upset. I'm going to go with the Saints here to go 2-0.
All right, Magik, RVD is calling an upset this week. Are you picking Justin? And even if he did win, do you think it would be an upset at this point?
No. I'm picking Hitman. Won't go 0-2. What was that?
It is worth mentioning that the Patriots' pass offense is one of the most prolific ones in this game, and the Saints are going to be playing without Marshawn Lattimore, unless whoever's getting a phone call right now, it's Marshawn Lattimore's agent telling us that he's going to play this week, but I don't think that's the case. Flips Pittsburgh Steelers. Stokes' favorite to win the NFC North took a tough loss last week to Kreppel's Browns. They welcome in another team that took a tough loss last week, Mustangs Vikings to Pittsburgh. Both of these teams need to get a win. You don't want to fall to 0-2, so whoever loses this game is going to have an uphill climb the rest of the season. I think Mustang's going to find a way to win this game. He looked good to me, even in losing to Justin last week. He had a big lead, just couldn't close it out. I didn't like what I saw from Flip in his game against the Browns. I'm going to take Mustang to go to Pittsburgh and get a big road victory. What do you think, RVD?
I did get to see Pittsburgh play, but I'm like you. I liked what I saw with Sting. Even though he lost, he still played well, so I'm going to go with the Vikings.
Let's move on now to the Chicago Bears and the Buccaneers. My Bears had a disappointing Week 1 loss, and the Buccaneers had a thrilling Week 1 victory in Miami last week, and now they head home for their home opener, and my Bears head on the road trying to avoid that dreaded 0-2 start. Stokes, JD's known as one of the better defensive players in all of AFL, and my Bears struggled mightily on offense last week in the loss to Costa. Can I rebound this week and get a victory on the road against JD, or will I fall to 0-2?
I'm thinking that you're gonna play a little bit better. You're gonna see the mistakes you made in your game in Week 1, and I expect you to come out with a victory in this week's game against JD. It's gonna be a really good game, I expect, but I think you're gonna pull it out.
All right, RVD, how do you see this game playing out?
Well, with that surprising loss in Week 1, I think you're going to be hungry for a victory and really pushing yourself not to go to 0-2. So I'm going to go with the Bears over the Bucs.
All right, speaking of teams that want to avoid a dreaded 0-2 start, Prime's Miami Dolphins, who had a heartbreaking loss to JD's Bucks last week, take on RVD's Los Angeles Chargers. This game is in LA. The Chargers fell big to the Broncos last week. RVD did say he's going to go with Jimmy Garoppolo at quarterback this week after he had to bench Rivers last week. Stokes, which one of these guys is going to avoid the 0-2 start?
I'm going to go with Prime here. I don't have much conviction in that. I think it's going to be a fairly close game. I'm expecting that Prime will make fewer mistakes in this one, considering he'll just have the better offense I expect. I'm going with Prime.
I think this is a flip of the coin game. I think you nailed it when you said it just comes down to who makes that last mistake. Because it's flip of the coin game, I'm going to pick RVD just to get equal representation on this game. I don't have a strong opinion either way. I feel bad that one of these guys is going to go to 0-2, but that's life in AFL, and that's what they're up against this week. Two teams that have yet to play their Week 1 game. We have Trav's New York Jets taking on Bo's Oakland Raiders. I don't know much about what either one of these guys are going to bring to the table in Madden 18 because they haven't gotten off the bus yet to play Week 1. Trav is actually in action right now against Nino as we're recording this, and then the Raiders will be playing later tonight against Tennessee Titans. But based on the rosters these teams are showing up with, based on home field advantage, I'm going to lean toward the Raiders this week. RVD, how do you see this one?
Bo can have trouble with the run game, run defense sometimes, and Trav's a very good runner. So I'm going to go with an upset here and the Jets.
Could be very interesting if Trav's able to get Todd Gurley moving early in that game, and Gurley can take it over. That was his big off-season acquisition, and it's going to be a good opportunity for Gurley to try to carry the Jets to victory. All right, another team that lost a heartbreaking Week 1 matchup was Roman's Dallas Cowboys. They had a very good opportunity to beat E-Dub's Giants Week 1, but they squandered it away, had a chance to go in for a touchdown, fell down before crossing the goal line, and then settled for a field goal, went on to lose the game by 4 points. Traveled to Denver this week to take on the Broncos in Mile High, and the Broncos had a huge victory over the Chargers last week, surprising a lot of people in AFL. Stokes, can the Broncos get to 2-0, or will the Cowboys bounce back and get a big road victory?
What I'm expecting here is Roman played very well against one of our better owners. So I think he's going to piggyback that almost success, and he's going to go out and get a victory against A-Bomb. I think he's got the team where he wants it. I mean, it's the Cowboys, and he's going to play well enough to win.
I'm going to co-sign that prediction. What was lost in that laughable loss by Roman last week was how well he played against one of the better players in AFL. Ezekiel Elliott had over 100 yards rushing. I think he's going to be able to get him going a little bit, even against that tough Denver front seven. I think the Cowboys come out of Denver 1-1. Joker's Los Angeles Rams host the Washington Redskins this week, the Washington football team, if that's what you want to call them. And the Rams had a very disappointing week number 1 as they got upset by Magic's Colts, and Magic admitted before the game he hadn't even played Madden 18 yet. That was his first game. He gets off the bus, unwraps the game, and beats Joker by what was it, 25 points, Stokes? I can go back and look.
33-7.
33-7, unbelievable. So now Joker has to find a way to rebound against one of the better players in AFL. The Redskins were predicted by 2 people on our season preview show to go on and be in the Super Bowl, and one person predicted them to win the Super Bowl. Stokes, does Joker get off the schneid this week and get to 1-1, or does he fall to 0-2 against the Redskins?
I think that Washington, I think Bailey's going to win this game. Joker is starting Joshua Dobbs, and playing QEs without high accuracy in the game, you end up with those UFOs, and then those can be untimely or thrown right at a defender, and you just lose the ball when you may have an open wide receiver. I think that the talent discrepancy, when you're considering that quarterback position, and then Joker's defense as a whole, if you exclude just Aaron Donald, is not very good, and Bailey's team is much more well-rounded.
A lot of people said Bailey won the off-season. He won Week 1. RVD, does he win Week 2?
I think so. Watching his game, Bailey looks really good with that Redskins team, so I think he's going to get it this week.
All right, guys. Also in the NFC West, we have 2 division rivals playing, taking on each other in Seattle this week as T-Mag's Seahawks play host to Danny's 49ers. Now, the 49ers won last week over Rod's Panthers in Carolina, but the challenge gets bigger this week as they go on the road to take on the Seahawks in Seattle. T-Mag has yet to play this week. Danny is known as one of our better players in AFL, but we've been saying all along that it's going to be an uphill battle this entire first season as he tries to get that 49ers roster right. Stokes, can Danny get to 2-0 with the Niners with a big victory over the Seahawks?
No, I'm actually going to go with the Seahawks here. I think the talent discrepancy between these two teams is just too great. Danny is probably the better player, but I think T-Mag is going to play smart and he's going to play well, and the Seahawks, they're going to win this game.
Do you agree the Seahawks are going to win this game, RVD, or do the 49ers start 2-0?
Stokes is going to go with the team. I'm going to go with the owner. So I'm going to say Danny's going to beat Pick. So 49ers up the Seahawks.
All right, Costa's Atlanta Falcons head home this week to take on Fisher's Green Bay Packers. The Falcons had a big road victory over my Bears last week in Chicago. Fisher has yet to play his Week 1 game. I really like the way that Costa has the Falcons built. They started off strong. He's made some good adjustments to build them into a team he really likes that fits his style. He's smart on offense, isn't going to turn the ball over. He's going to lean on Tevin Coleman. He plays good defense. He mixes up his fronts. I think Costa's going to get off to a strong start this year, and that's going to include a victory over the Packers this week in Atlanta. RVD, how do you see this game playing out?
I like Costa here. He looks really comfortable with his team and with the team. So I'm going to go with him over fishing the Packers.
RVD picking against the Packers. That means you know he's serious if he's picking against the Packers in any walk of life. All right, the last game on the schedule, Monday Night Football. E-Dubs Giants 1-0 after a big victory over the Cowboys last week. Take on KK the Destroyers Detroit Lions. The Lions fell to 0-1 after a disappointing loss at home to Reese's Cardinals. Now they go on the road and try to avoid that dreaded 0-2 start. Stokes, we know E-Dub's a guy you like to pick against. Are you going to pick against him this week?
I mean, I'm going to root against him. I want him to lose, but the reality is he's just not going to. He's one of our better players, and KK, he may be good, but he's just the talent between the Giants and the Lions. It's just not comparable, and E-Dub is going to run away with this game for sure.
All right, RVD, you've been telling us all along how you think KK is an underrated player in AFL, but he did get dealt a bad hand with the Lions, although he did get paid to take them, so nobody's going to have sympathy for him. He got off to an 0-1 start last week. He has a chance to avoid it going 0-2 this week, but the task is large, going to New York against E-Dub's Giants. Can KK get it done?
I don't believe so. KK is a good owner, but that team's just going to work against him left and right now until he gets it better than where it is right now. So I'm going to say E-Dubs Giants over the Lions.
All right, guys, let's spotlight a couple games this week that we're really looking forward to. I'm going to start off with the Miami Dolphins against the Los Angeles Chargers. We talked about it earlier when we previewed the game. I just really like this kind of game where two teams with playoff aspirations, both of them 0-1. I think week 2 in any season is always big for the teams that are 0-1 because you don't want to go 0-2. 1-1, whatever. 2-0, that's great, but you still have a long season to go. 0-2, you are 3 losses away, maybe 4 losses away from being out of the playoffs altogether. So nobody wants to get to 0-2. You're really behind the 8 ball. And in LA, we have 2 teams that had playoff aspirations this year, fighting to avoid that. I love that kind of drama. I love the urgency that the 0-1 teams play with in week 2. And when you have 2 teams matched up that both have high expectations for the season, both trying to avoid the 0-2 start, I think it makes for great drama, and we get to all watch it, although RVD is going to participate in it. So I wish you luck, RVD. And Jimmy Garoppolo is starting at quarterback this week, correct?
Correct.
All right, RVD, what game are you looking forward to most this week?
I'm looking forward to the Cowboys and the Broncos. I like seeing Roman play. He made some mental mistakes, but he played really well against the top owner. A-Bomb, seeing the Broncos team firsthand, I think he's got a really good handle of his team and what he wants to do with it and how to specifically play with that defense. So I'm really interested in seeing what Roman's offense can do against the Bronco defense.
All right, Stokes, you get the final word this week. What game stands out to you?
Well, you know, the easy choice here would be the Bears versus the Buccaneers. But instead of that, I'm going to roll with the Cardinals at the Colts. Reese, he did what I expected him to do, which was win week 1, but he won a big game against Joker, and I think this game is very important to see whether Jake is going to continue to play that well or whether week 1 was just possibly an aberration. And also, it's the pre and post game from Reese, whether it's going to be meme city or whether he's going to post an excuse. Well, whatever the case is, I think that game is going to be it's going to be a good one, and it's probably much more important to Reese because Jake just doesn't care. But I mean, hopefully it's a good game.
All right, guys. Well, I'm looking forward to it. Week 2 to me is always one of the best weeks in any schedule because to me, you have all the teams that won the previous week are 1-0 and they're all feeling themselves. All the teams that lost are sitting there in panic mode, wondering if they're going to win a game all season long. We've already seen a couple teams that lost last week make some trades today. I just love the week 2 drama. I think it is one of the best weeks on the schedule. And I want to give a shout out to our owners. We had 0 owners last week that broke the 24-hour rule. We understand it's Labor Day weekend this weekend, so make sure you're communicating with your opponent. Make sure you're trying to get your game scheduled, and make sure you have fun this weekend. We don't get many 3-day weekends in our lives, so enjoy it. And we'll be posting the advanced schedule soon, and we will see you next time on AFL Advance.